Welcome back to another episode of the STI Killer Protege, presented by Koyorad. Today we're going to get serious about this thing and blow it up. With apologies to all you Evo guys out there, it still reminds me of a Protege. What can I say? But it's
You're joking yourself. But
I'm just being loyal to the STI, everybody. Unlike a Protege, though, this thing can make some serious jam thanks to this 4G63T, which we're going to drop today because we got to get serious about it. First of all, it's old and worn out, as we showed you in the first episode, and as Pete told you, our plan is to modernize it, refresh it, and I think we're even going to throw some pistons and rods in there, aren't we, Pete? We're going to fortify it ourselves. We're going to roll the dice and see if we can build the motor ourselves and then run a bunch of boost through it, because it's going to need all the boost if it wants to hang with the abandoned STI, Pete. I'm still skeptical, but anyway, let's get to work here. Where do we start? You know these cars better than me.
Drop the fluids.
Drop the fluids, okay. Makes sense. Oh yeah, that oil hasn't been changed in a long time. Look at that. It is black. Whew.
That's these motors, man. They stand up to a lot of punishment.
I also get the feeling the previous owner might not have been that meticulous about maintenance. It's the vibe I'm getting here, PT. Anyway, let's let that drain and we'll move on to the coolant. Well, this vintage radiator has a nice little drain plug in the bottom of it. So
very JDM.
it is. I like the way they made it this anodized blue color for extra style points.
Another plug for Home Depot.
Yeah.
Get your radiator buckets there.
Or the home despot, as Ave calls it. Oof. All right.
That was very anticlimactic.
Interesting color. They don't use green. They use the red stuff, I guess.
Pink stuff or whatever it is.
Oh,
yeah. This is kind of perfect ASMR here, DP.
It is. I know. It's a good slurping noise happening.
Kind of sounds like we're peeing.
Moving on to fluid number 3 here. That is transmission, and it's got a giant rusty plug bolt here.
This is a question for the audience. How do you know if your transmission fluid is old? By color again?
Yeah,
you know,
because it always smells terrible.
It does
doesn't
smell
it?
terrible. Yeah, I'm just
I would
wondering.
think color, and maybe if we ran it through a coffee filter, you could look for metal flakes and stuff.
Yeah.
Might tell you a little bit about at least the condition of the gearbox, if not the oil. But all right, ready? Well, it's clearer than the engine oil was, but it's still pretty dark for gear oil, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know
what kind
though.
of gear oil goes in this
yeah.
box.
Oh,
though.
let's look at the shavings there.
Yeah.
They're not bad.
It's not terrible. That's
very
standard,
typical,
isn't it?
right? Yeah.
Well, we're thinking this is the drain plug for the transfer case, since we couldn't find anything else that looked like it would be a drain plug. So let's find out. I think that's probably it. Wow, that fluid actually is really clean.
Yeah, it looks super clean.
Which I don't know what that means, Pete. Has he not been transferring power? What's been going on here? You think it would be just as baffed as all the other fluids, but wow, that's like honey pouring out of there. It's so nice. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh.
Oh.
You just smashed your head.
Oh.
Down. That's full concussion.
Oh.
You're out. Have you recovered?
Well, I'm seeing double, I think, because there seems to be 2 drain plugs back here, PT. What's going on?
AYC, man. That's the magic of these Evos.
Oh, so this is the hydraulic system that goes to the pump back there.
Yep.
And this, I guess, is just the regular diff fluid.
Yeah.
Want to drain them both, I assume?
I think so.
Want to mix them?
Why not?
See what we get here. A hydraulic fluid to start.
I think after we drain it and refill it, there's like a bleeding procedure and whatnot, and you need a tool for it, so we'll see how it goes.
Oh, looks like regular gear oil.
I think it is, yeah.
Interesting.
I think the viscosity is just a little bit thicker in the rear for that.
It is thick, yeah. All right, well, let's do this one. See how she looks.
Yeah, you're right. It does look like
it looks the same.
Same color.
Yeah, it really does. Weird.
All right, well, that I think about does it for our complete fluid dump.
Yep.
And why don't we pull this exhaust system, DP? Let's get this thing out of the way here while we're under here. As you saw, we just dropped our drive shaft and the exhaust system. And first of all, what kind of system is this? For you hardcore JDM guys, maybe you can tell me. It's got no branding on it, so I don't know if it's like an HKS or maybe a Goretti unit.
I'm going with Zorro.
And the more peculiar part is, and actually really intriguing to me, I'm surprised more performance exhausts don't use it, is these hangers aren't actually just like hooks and whatnot. They have this extension onto it, which is like, so you can screw in this bolt, which is pretty amazing. Like it requires a lot more work, so you got to like weld this whole area on. But how cool is that? I liked it. Made dropping this thing super easy, and it's on the whole system. So again, maybe that's a JDM thing, or maybe it isn't. And the drive shaft came out pretty easy. I was actually pretty amazed, by how long it is. Like, check out the length of this. And it's 3-piece. I've never seen that before. Have you guys? Because this is new to me.
It's time, everybody, to find out what horrors lurk beneath the do-rag on the intercooler pipe. What's under there, PT? What's under there? You got any bets?
I don't think there's anything under there. I think this was just wrapped here to be a heat sink, or not a heat sink, a heat shield.
A heat shield?
Yeah, because the downpipe's so close. Like after looking
you're
at this
right. Of course.
more and more, but
yeah, you're right. The downpipe is right there.
I just because this is
exactly
just like
what it is.
exhaust wrap.
That's like heat, just really tired old heat wrap.
Oh my God! Look at this.
Yeah.
It is so nasty. Like, this is the definition of degrading exhaust wrap. Holy smokes.
The low quality wrap does not age well, for sure.
All right, so let's see. Yeah, as I said, nothing to be seen here. Oh yeah, you know why? Because it's almost against the pipe here. That's why. Oh, geez, there we go. All right, that's out. So I'm looking at this, and this downpipe I think is a MAP Performance one, and it's a 1-piece, so it bolts directly to the turbo, which is gonna make things fun here. But I'm gonna remove a little bit of this intercooler piping, and then we're gonna give this a go, because it's tight in there. Holy smokes! And there's some bolts that don't look like they're easy access. I've got to give it to the STI. At least the exhaust bolts are much more easily accessible than this thing. This MAP Performance downpipe, as I knew was going to be a nightmare, it is a nightmare. One of the studs is like so close to the exhaust pipe that it makes it almost nearly impossible to get off. And it's super tight. So I've been at this for what now, DP?
20 minutes?
20 minutes.
Yeah.
And I think I'm halfway out, so we're getting close, but oh my God. Do not put one of these one-piece manifolds on, or sorry, downpipes on your car. My suggestion is always go with the 2-piece. So there's one for the O2 housing, and then there's the downpipe that bolts on here. Makes life much easier.
1 hour later.
Guys, literally an hour to take that one nut off. As you can see here, it's just such a tight radius turn that there was no way to spin it. And then what happened was the stud started backing itself out, and then of course the stud decided to get seized in there, whatever the threads caught. Then I had to take the nut off. So, make matters worse, I just cut the O2 sensor, because that's how frustrated I am. So, okay, now on a more positive note, we are able to move on here. We have encountered what I think is a somewhat common problem, and that is the bolt holding our Brembos on is marred at the end. So as you can see, it grabs some aluminum and ends up threading itself out, in turn destroying the thread in the Brembo caliper. Ha! Fail number 2 for today. So this means we're gonna have to, I think, helicoil these to get them to properly thread again, because these are kind of done.
Now that Pete's got the brakes off, I'm just removing the old coilovers here. And as you can see, they have seen better days. These are some old BC Racing stuff that we're replacing with brand new KWs. And by the way, Pete, I don't know if you noticed yet or not, but you've got a nice mouse nest in your side skirt here, and I think I'm gonna let you clean that one up.
What? We're finally moving on to tearing apart the engine bay. And I just noticed a quick thing here, Dave. Is this a technique to kind of add an extra ground when you ground your battery to your strut tower bar? Is that a pretty good technique or what?
Top safety tip there.
Yeah,
sure.
I think this is the wrong size battery, which is why it's doing that. We are getting close to dropping this whole setup, and boy oh boy, was there a bunch of parts along the way that I found very, very intriguing. Check out this aftermarket battery box.
Ooh, she's a beauty.
She's a rusty one. At first I thought it was stock, and then I looked at it, I was like, no. And I mean, there's some pretty slick stuff, boxes out on the market now, so I'm definitely gonna upgrade that. The charcoal canister here, this was a good one. No wonder this car wasn't running well. I think it had a ton of boost leaks. Check this hose out. As soon as I grabbed it, it literally disintegrated. Like if I try to bend this hose, look at that. It just snaps. Look at this. Ooh. Like it is fully rotted. Speaking of rotted, the coupler that went onto the throttle body also rotted away. Crazy stuff, huh? And I'm curious to see what was going on underneath here. So this is a ton of duct tape. And is it just duct tape? Like, I hope there's a rubber grommet on here or a plug or something, because duct tape is definitely not going to hold 15, 16 PSI of pressure. So let's see what's under here. Well, thankfully there is an actual rubber plug on here. Why there was no hose clamp used here? Oh, I spoke too soon, DP. Look at how cracked this thing is here. Wow. So this was not doing its job at all. Look at that. I mean, this must have been leaking, right? Like, yeah. I can't imagine the duct tape is a solution for that. Like, wow. It held it on there pretty good. Like, it's still on there tight, but that whole top side here, maybe that's why the duct tape is there. Whoever fixed this was like, okay, you know what? I don't want to replace it with another rubber plug. What I'm going to do is just put some duct tape on and hope that my Evo makes some boost. And it doesn't. And I'm sure it was leaking. But, like, yeah, this thing was, like, look at that. Just fully done.
Bumper, Pete. That was the most insane bumper removal I've ever participated in my life.
Mitsubishi built it tough and complex, I suppose. Holy smokes.
There are like 30 fasteners just along the top. There's the typical one in the corner, and then there's like 3 underneath the headlight, and then there's 5 under here, and then there's another 3 over there, and then they have 5 or 6 more.
And you got to
here.
remove the intercooler.
And you got to get the intercooler out to get at it. And then there's
Yeah.
hoses for sprayers to spray the intercooler and spray the oil cooler and spray the radiator.
Which is pretty cool, right?
It is,
there's
but
like,
my God.
Yeah.
The complexity of this thing is insane. I guess it's a rally car and they want it to be like super securely fastened. But honestly, there's probably, I don't know, 40 fasteners.
yeah,
Like,
there was a
it's-
lot.
Like on a Honda, it's, you know, one on each side, a few down the middle, and, you know, and plastic under tray and you're done. It's a 5-minute job. This took us, what, half an hour?
Probably, yeah.
It's total lunacy. In any case, I'm sure once you've done it a few times, you figure out the process. We were kind of fighting it, and lots of rusty fasteners. You can see we snapped one off here, and you know, there was just a super rusty one on here. That was a bit of a job to get off. And I mean, it's nice to get it off too, because it can kind of get a better look at the condition of the car, what needs to be cleaned up. So in any case, we wanted to get that off, A, because it's getting painted, and B, it'll make it easier to get our magical trolley underneath the engine so that we can lower it down onto that. So I think maybe it is actually finally time to get that trolley over here and start pulling engine mounts and stuff like that.
As you just saw, the engine came out with very little fuss. All we had to do was just a little bit of a battle with the AC pump, trying to get it out of the way because we left it in the car so we didn't have to bleed it, which is nice. As you can see, the motor is, I mean, it's not terrible. It has some light surface rust on the bolts here and there. It's a little leaky on this side, which looks like it is from the valve cover gasket. So we're gonna get into tearing all of this apart in a next episode. I do want to show you a couple weird things that I noticed on this car. First of all, this relay right here, so let's get this out of the way. This relay runs to the, I'm assuming it's a trigger wire, runs to the wiper motor right here. And then it runs all the way down, obviously gets power from the power terminal, and then it runs into the front headlights. And I'm puzzled as to why this is wired in like this. Like, was the wiper motor, the stock, triggering the lights to turn on? Like, was it to flash or something? I don't know, very weird. Nevertheless,
Some gumball stuff, maybe, eh?
maybe, like, if you guys know in the
Weird.
comments, let us know, because I'm puzzled as to why that's wired up like that. That's got to go. Our diamond coat rust corrosion system, that's another thing that we are getting rid of. But aside from that, like, as you can see in here, the chassis is pretty clean. I also noticed that this engine mount has a significant amount of play in it, so I'm not sure what I want to replace it with. I don't want to go to a poly engine mount because I find they're just a little bit too stiff, not for the street. I still want to make sure this car is a street car. I want to enjoy it that way. So if you guys have some options, or you know of mounts that are great for both street and a little bit of occasional track use, please let me know. I'm thinking rally art would be maybe the first thing that comes to mind, but who knows? So DP, what do we got left here? Is this officially a wrap?
I think that might be a wrap. Yeah, I think it is a wrap.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, thank you guys so much for the support watching. If you did like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And I noticed 75% of you aren't subscribed to the channel. That's what the analytics is telling me. So please subscribe to the channel, and you'll get notifications, and make sure to hit that notification bell, because we want to make sure you guys keep up to this with this build and all the other stuff we've got going on. Subframe and all that is out. It actually came down much easier than I expected. The bolts came out very easily. We just had a little bit of a struggle with our AC pump.